First up, we have an overview that asks basically what is tone, what are pure tones, and what techniques, equipment, and signal chains and processing creates all of those really rich harmonics and overtones that we all crave. Then we get on to pretty much everybody's favorite subject, and that is, guess what? Guitars, right? What kinds are there? What kinds of pickups are there? Things like active and passive circuits. And then we'll move on to amps and then discuss how amps work, either solid state or tube amps or valve amps, they call them elsewhere in the world. We look at things like gain stages and distortion, tone stacks and EQ, also effects loops and how you configure them. We then follow that closely up with speakers and how they work, what types are out there, and how they're wired and what type of cabinets they're placed in terms of open back or closed backs, and then also how you mic them all up. Now, a big section will be the effects portion, and we'll break them all down one by one. We have a ton to go through here. Things like gain modifiers, dynamics processors, modulators like chorus and flanges, even wah-wahs. Then we go through filters and EQs, pitch modifiers, delays, loopers, and reverbs. And a big part of this will be breaking down them kind of into effect types and really understanding how the order of those effects really make a difference. Now, I'll teach you some rule of thumbs that will get you in the right direction in terms of those effectors, and we'll get some other people chiming in with some in-depth interviews with some of the biggest pedal makers on the planet, including Boss and Electro Harmonics. And then moving on from there, we'll look at what type of guitar rigs there are out there. Things like wet-dry rigs, guitar switching, amp switching, series or parallel loops. There'll be a lot to go over there. And then this brings all of this training together at the end when we look at iconic tones through rock history and pull apart exactly how to get the tones of the folks that you want to emulate. If you want to know how to, say, get an Eric Johnson tone, or maybe a Hendrix tone or a U2 tone, this section wraps up all the stuff that we've learned in the previous sections and allows you to, could I say it? Yeah, pretty much kind of plug and play the right combination of guitars, amps, and processing to get the killer tones that we all love. Now, at the end of this training, if I could just get this through there, you're going to be going through a lot of stuff here, but I guarantee you'll be an absolute master of guitar tone. But before we begin, let's actually see where we've come from. So to start from the beginning, we actually don't have to go back that far. While forms of guitars like lyres or harps share the same lineage, they go back thousands of years. The birth of the electric guitar actually was back in the 1930s with what became to be the Rickenbacker Company. The idea behind this whole relationship between electricity and magnetism, you see this relationship if you've ever pulled apart a pickup or say a dynamic microphone or even a speaker. I did this as a kid all the time, drove my brothers crazy. Now, if you move a wire over a magnet, it creates a very small electrical signal. Move it back and forth and you get alternating current or AC. Now, if you've ever connected up a meter, you could actually see the needle move. Now, on the other side of this, if you place an alternating current down a wire that is placed near a magnet, that wire will produce a magnetic field that will want to move that wire. And if that's connected to, say, a cone of a speaker, for example, it will move that cone back and forth, and sound waves that are analogous to that electrical signal will come out of that speaker cone. That's why we call it an analog signal. It's analogous to that AC signal. Anyway, the earliest guitars were very, very simple. And really, when you think about it, they had to move in tandem with the development of guitar amplifiers, or else you just have pretty much kind of one side of the equation, and rock and roll would have been this loud.